The entire coronavirus pandemic can be seen by tracking the lunar nodes and the transits since then. I'm going to describe that, where we've been, and where we're going in this video. Hey, it's Sam, and I'm talking today about the timeline of the coronavirus as seen by the lunar nodes. This is very much a condition and a situation that's been thrust upon the world based on the lunar nodes, Rahu and Ketu primarily, where they are. The eclipses showed this pandemic coming about, and I'm going to unfold that in this video. Now, it started when Rahu and Ketu changed signs in March of 2019. March 22nd, 23rd, 2019, Rahu went into Gemini and Ketu went into Sagittarius. Now, at that time, I described very generally and very literally that this was going to be a shift that showed us basically the truth behind all of our beliefs, both about the world, socio-politically. If you remember back at that time, right when this shift happened, we were here in the United States wondering about the Mueller report. Remember 1,000 years ago when that was what we were all thinking about? Right as Rahu went into Gemini, Ketu went into Sagittarius, it got released, right? Exactly as that happened. Again, Rahu going into Gemini was showing the information coming out. Finally, we were going to see the truth behind the whole political situation. What was in it, what was being said about it, the systems in place, all of that happened right when Rahu went into Gemini and Ketu went into Sagittarius. Now, of course, this is sidereal zodiac, which is the zodiac used in Vedic Astrology, but this was timed exactly to that transit. Now, since then, we've had many disclosures. We've seen the truth behind many things, and it's the truth behind our beliefs, which is the Sagittarius axis. Ketu in Sagittarius means we have a lot of preconceived beliefs and notions about the way things are. Rahu going into Gemini was going to show us the truth. Now again, keep that in mind because we're still in that cycle, and we're going to be in that cycle until September of this year. Rahu is going to continue that transit through Gemini and Ketu through Sagittarius. So if we fast forward, since then, of course, we also had an impeachment, all these other things showing the disclosures and the information of Rahu in Gemini, revealing our beliefs and pressuring our beliefs about the nature of the world. Okay, which again, the beliefs are Sagittarius, and Ketu in Sagittarius is trying to destroy a lot of those beliefs we have and give us new information, which is Rahu in Gemini, to show us the truth of what's really going on. That looks quite different now, doesn't it? Because we had other shifts that happened. We had a gigantic solar eclipse. December 25th, this was in the United States, in the Western world, we had this eclipse. The sun was eclipsed in Sagittarius in Mula Nakshtra. It wasn't just the sun and moon in Mula Nakshtra, but also Jupiter was in Mula Nakshtra and Mercury. So Jupiter, which is also the ruler of Sagittarius, also the ruler of Ketu, also the ruler of the eclipse, all of those planets were in Mula Nakshtra. Mula is related to the goddess Kali in modern Indian, iconography, or the modern Indian deity is Kali. The old Vedic deity was called NIrritti, which literally means calamity or destruction. Basically, the version of Kali from the Vedas. Now, not only was Jupiter in Mula being eclipsed, but Mercury was also in Mula, which was the ruler of Rahu. So the rulers of both nodes were also getting eclipsed, revealing a deeper, darker truth that was about to unfold. Now, eclipses aren't just events. I tell people this all the time when I analyze lunation cycles, full moons and new moons, eclipses and whatnot. They're not just days. It's not just an event. It's not just a day. It's a cycle. So often you don't see the thing come out on the day of the eclipse or as the eclipse is happening because it's a cycle. So what wound up happening is this eclipse unleashed this Mula energy, this NIrritti energy, this Kali energy. Every Vedic astrologer that I know of predicted there was going to be some big major thing happen. Many of us predicted it might be war, there might be, it could be anything with the tenuous nature of the world. Now, it could have been a nuclear meltdown, it could be a natural catastrophe. Some predicted war. And again, but we have to understand, we have to be literal here. It's not a war. Now you can say, well, but it's a war with a virus. Yes, but it's not a war in the sense that we mean a war. A war with us firing bombs at another country could lead to World War III, where we're all fighting, where countries are firing missiles at each other, okay? It's a very different thing. This is a very specific thing that happened. And it's very much a blessing to some extent because it's bringing us together in some ways. The world has been united in a way we've never been united that I can remember. All of us collectively saying, okay, let's go home, stay in our homes, and try to defeat this thing. So we can take a lot of blessings in knowing that this is not some war where we're firing missiles at each other. This is something where we're being united, at least hopefully being united. One of the things that I also said right away once I saw this, because this was going to reveal a deeper truth to us. Again, this is showing the deeper truth. What's the deeper truth? Well, this virus came from bats or animals. It's a zoonotic virus which jumps from animals to humans, really underscores the need for humans to treat animals better, to treat the environment better. One of the things that happened right away as a result is we see now that humans are staying home and not out there interacting, the environment has cleared up. Everything in existence is celebrating the fact that human beings are staying home. Again, we can look at it just from our referential human being point of view, that we're the kings of the world, so if we're not happy, the whole world is terrible. Not true. The whole world is very happy that we're staying home. This is a deeper truth. This is the same thing I said before with Rahu in Gemini, Ketu in Sagittarius is going to reveal a deeper truth. This is a deeper truth, okay? We got to, again, have a higher altitude if we want to understand the meaning behind these events. This is how astrology can help us. Instead of using astrology to just get triggered and project our dark fantasies, we can see very clearly, just by observing what's happening, why it happened, and also by analyzing, again, the astrological configurations. This is the goddess showing us something deeper in a very humane and gentle way, actually, because, again, let's be clear, we're not having a war. We're not having World War III. A lot of astrologers or people predicted these kinds of things. That's not at all what's happening. In fact, it's an opportunity for the world to come together. That's a very different energy. Now, going forward after the eclipse, at the end of last year, we then had, on the next lunar eclipse, when we had the lunar eclipse in Ardra Nakshtra in early January, January 10th, right after that, the first reported death happened. And this was when the world then realized, China reported, we have this new novel coronavirus that is unleashed. And then they contacted the World Health Organization. It was right after the next eclipse, the lunar eclipse in Gemini, that happened 2 weeks after that solar eclipse I just mentioned, that the world now realized, we have something on our hands here. Again, when we had the actual solar eclipse in Mula, we didn't know that this had happened yet, right? Even China didn't know. They started getting reports. In fact, they got them a little earlier, but it was after the lunar eclipse in Gemini, in Ardra Nakshtra, right after that, like a day after that, the world realized that we had a new novel coronavirus on its hands, and the alarms started to sound, at least in certain areas. Again, this eclipse cycle absolutely brought this out, and we can see why. If we analyze this astrologically, it's very clear. We knew astrologically that 2020 was going to be much harder than 2019. I probably said it 15 times. Like every time I talked about the upcoming year, as much as people were worried about 2019, I said, just wait until 2020 if you think this is bad, because we saw the next configurations that showed up right after that lunar eclipse in early January. Saturn moved from Sagittarius into Capricorn. Again, very clear, January 25th or so, Saturn moves into Capricorn. This is a whole new cycle of Saturn energy of having to get real. Capricorn energy to go through the focus, concentration, solitude, stillness, introspection. Again, this is very much Saturn and Capricorn power. Look at what happened. This virus is unleashed. Saturn goes into Capricorn, and what happens? Everybody stay home. Everybody go in your house and stay home. Like we're all being put in a big timeout. Time out, everybody. Go to your room. This is very much Saturn and Capricorn. The whole world collectively was expressing this Saturn and Capricorn. Again, it took about a month, but Saturn and Capricorn is about a 3-year transit, 2.5 to 3 years. A month into it, month and a half or so into it, and everybody starts quarantining, social distancing. Again, Saturn in Capricorn. Then, and again, when we look at the deeper lessons here, it's how well can you be by yourself? Can you be introspective? Can you be still and peaceful when your whole power structure and your whole social structure and your whole perhaps monetary structure is being threatened or questioned? Again, Saturn in Capricorn is very much about what are we willing to commit to, work through. Very powerful. Then the end of March, it got even more real, where Mars and Jupiter both also went into Capricorn. So now we have an exalted Mars in Capricorn with Saturn, and then a debilitated Jupiter joined these two powerful planets. So as I record this April 13th, 2020, from the middle of April until now early May, we're trying to really grapple with it and get traction and get it under control and beat it back. As I had said as well, that this cycle, especially with Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter in Capricorn, from late March until early May, is a time when we're really going to be focused and marshaling all of our energy to beat it back and get ahead of it, which we're going to do. Then Jupiter is going to stay in Capricorn until the end of June. So again, we're going to wrestle it under control. By early May, we're going to realize that, okay, this is pretty much beaten back, but at least this phase of it. Now, how do we start phasing back into reality, quote, as we know it? How do we start to phase back into social engagement? This is going to be with the Jupiter and Saturn will be retrograde. They start to go retrograde, and then Jupiter will return to Sagittarius by the end of June. So by the end of June and through the summer, with Jupiter back in Sagittarius, we will start to feel more like we're, back to normal again. So we'll see that through the summer, we'll get back to a reasonable, normal operating, sort of way of being. Again, in the back of our mind, though, this has happened. This isn't going to change. We're aware that this corona potential is there. Okay, it's changed. It's a new norm. This Saturn going into Capricorn has set us on a trajectory for the next couple of years. The other big shift that has happened is the outer planet Pluto also just went into Capricorn as well. That happened late February, early March as well, which is another issue for the next 15 years or so. We're shifting our whole monetary policy and whatnot. I'm not going to talk about that so much here. I've already done a video on it, but maybe I'll do another one talking about the virus though now. From now until early May and into the middle of May, we're going to get it under control. And then by late June, when Jupiter goes back into Sagittarius, we'll start to relate again with this in the back of our mind, always aware of whether or not it's getting traction again. Then what's going to happen is Jupiter goes back into Capricorn. It's going to resurface again. By the way, I've said this the whole time, but Jupiter is going to go back into Capricorn in the middle of November, and he will bring this out again. It'll resurface again through November of this year through April or so of 2021, we'll be grappling with it again. And hopefully by then we'll develop, vaccinations or treatments, things like that. So the way I see this unfolding going forward is just what you're hearing, like what looks like is happening, okay? Again, in the meantime, we're going to hear a lot of, again, differing opinions. I don't want to say conspiracy theories to dismiss people, because we have to be alert. We can't let this social distancing go on forever and destroy the economy and have it shouldn't go on one day longer than it needs to go on. We all agree to that. But again, guard your mind, guard your sanity around, well, it's just what the deep state has wanted, and it's, we're going to get vaxxed and all this. We don't know any of that's going to happen. We don't know how this is going to work out yet in that regard. Guard your state of mind. And the biggest thing I would say is understand that this is happening to reveal a deeper truth. This is the main reason I wanted to record this, not to get the predictions and all like that. This will be on record though, but the deeper truth. This is part of this Rahu through Gemini transit to show us the deeper truth. And what is the deeper truth? Again, I'm not saying this to brag or anything, but I've been saying it from the very beginning. The way we've treated the earth, the way we've treated animals in particular, is the big issue here. And I will report happily that today, even, I saw on the news, big slaughterhouse. They're on the verge of going out of business. I think it's Smithfield, which is the largest producer of pork products, bacon and sausage, and frankly, it's just dead pigs and animals. They're closing up. Again, I just saw the reporting, and the meat industry is getting pressured. And I've said from the beginning that I think one of the big repercussions of this whole episode, because we're seeing a deeper truth now. Do we want to see it? First of all, it's a personal deeper truth, which is, am I able to be alone? What happens when my safety and security structure is pressured and threatened? How do I react to it? Do I go into paranoid spin mode? Can I sit with myself? What are my higher teachings? What's my higher beliefs and principles and practices? Because again, if you practice from a spiritually abundant perspective with gurus, and especially if you understand things like astrology and the higher meaning behind these things, you're not so likely triggered because your connection is to the dharmic truth. And that's going to be revealed, that deeper truth about you, but also the deeper truth about the world. We're seeing something that, no, we haven't been looking at. Some of us have been looking at it for a long time. But now, collectively, the world is seeing this. And especially this way we've been treating the earth, the way we've been treating animals. Again, look at the industries right away where this thing started to show up. Cruise ships, airplanes. This is where it spread all over the place because of this constant travel. First thing we started to do is stop traveling. Right? Again, that doesn't just happen out of the blue. It uses gas, resources. Our whole world and life and lifestyle and the destruction of the planet revolves around a couple things. Drilling for oil and resources, and that includes animals as a resource. They use these euphemisms with this pork distribution center. They call it protein facilities, protein manufacturing facilities. Again, this sterile language that just removes the humanity from what's happened. So again, seeing the truth behind what we're doing is the biggest reason that this is happening. And it hasn't happened through a war. People are not firing bombs at each other. We're not doing that. So we can't act like it's all the same thing. This has been about the most humane way that the goddess could give us all the message. You think you're in control of everything here, humans? Let me show you what's in control. All this destruction of the planet, of ecosystems, biodiversity, treating animals this way, flying around, raping the earth, robbing it of its oil and minerals so that you can live as if there's no implications of the pollution and all of that. I'm going to show you how vulnerable you are. And it's going to make you all stay home and think and introspect. And I think it's going to change even if it only changes 10 to 15%, I think it could change even a lot more, particularly about things like eating meat, the consumption, the unsustainability of the life that we're living. Even it's going to make people not travel as much. Again, notice what we're able to do. Staying home now, all of the teleconferencing, all of the wastage of resources. We're not going to go back. Again, the oil industry must be just quaking in their boots now, because now everybody's realizing, hey, why am I doing all this driving anyway? All these jobs I could be doing remotely, all of that we could have been doing. And we're going to go to a more sustainable life as a result. So we're seeing a truth, a deeper truth, and it's some growing pains here as we adjust. But this is Mula. Mula Nakshtra is the key factor in understanding this. One of the main qualities of Mula is to uproot, to pull up by the roots. The false teachings, the false practices, so that we can live in harmony